Thank you. Hello, everybody. We're back again with Earth Medicine for the Soul, the podcast about living on the planet as it is and taking care of ourselves in terms of growing the soul, developing, or just nurturing the soul, our own souls and the souls of those all around us. As I recall, last time we were talking about the way the planet seems to be on a fulcrum of change. Do you have anything you want to dig into that deeper, or do you want me to wing it for a while?
No, it's good. Yeah, when I was thinking about what we should be talking about now, the soul kept got to keep talking about the soul, man. That's the name of your program. Okay. So, and I think that's a term that's going to be coming up more and more and more in everybody's lives because it's really the key to why we're here. I mean, and from every teacher I've ever talked to or seen or worked with has talked about how there are billions of souls that have lined up that want to come here,
Mm,
particularly for this particular time.
mhm.
And also I was listening to an interview. I got to tell you, this is really funny. I was listening to this interview this guy earlier the internet, and he said he was talking to this bishop, I guess it was, or a cardinal over in the Vatican, and he was asking him, what he thought about ETs, and the guy says, "Well, I don't think God's so stupid as he would invest his whole future in just this planet and these humans," which I thought
There's
was
an awful lot of
hilarious.
universe out there.
Right? Yeah, let's roll the dice with this thing. So So I think that if it's true that there are billions of souls that would love to come here that are sort of in line, that have taken a number, then you have to ask yourself why, and so my answer is because at this particular time is it's like an environment within which it's a perfect storm for the rebirth of a soul. It's like coming together of all these energetic configurations that are starting to create a matrix on this planet for a whole evolutionary jump.
Mm,
And so they want to be here to partake in that, and which is, diametrically opposed to what a lot of people who don't understand their soul or don't have the knowing of who they really are or how to find that out. There's so many of them that are just caught up in the chaos and the insanity of everything that they're asking themselves, why the hell am I even here? This is
mhm.
insane, and
Yeah.
so the we have the advantage of having expanded our awareness into a new realm of knowing that allows us to examine these questions in depth, and to really kind of give them a really good looking over and a good objective viewing point. So I think that we need to just kind of talk about the soul a little bit. What is it? How does it? Is there a configuration? Is there something about it? In our teachings, they talk about the spirit personalities. And that there's, I think, 9 spirit personalities, and those spirit personalities, this being one spirit personality, you being one spirit personality, but there are 8 others. And that those compose the soul. And so when you come in, you sit in council with them, and they're like, all right, here's what you're going to do in this lifetime that's going to benefit this pod of
Mhm.
spirit personalities to amplify what we as a collective need to do. We in the service of the creator, here's what we got to start working on, and so you're kind of given these tasks and given these challenges when you come in here to, you know, find your movie script, find the right script and then get with it, man. So that's for me, that's a soul task,
Hmm.
that's something that's intricately involved in your spirit and your growth as spiritual maturity. And so there's just to get the message across to everyone that look, right now, I mean, there are teachers all around this planet that are going, I am thrilled to be here at this point in time.
Hmm.
And a lot of people that look at that think, what
Right.
is this dude smoking?
Uh-huh.
It-
Yeah,
but
what are you nuts?
yeah, it's true, that it's a weird question to ask, and it's a weird observation to hold on to. But if you start, for me, one of the most important things for me to learn that I had to learn to be able to do that is to not take anything seriously.
Hmm. Okay.
Once I embodied that, don't take anything too seriously, I didn't get attached to stuff.
Right. Right. That
And the
doesn't mean
less,
make fun of everything. It just means that
no,
you can't identify with everything that comes into your life. You are not a
and it can't
baseball.
it can't pull you here and pull you there, and
Right.
you have to free yourself from attachments.
Hmm.
So it doesn't mean you're gonna like you can have attachments of the heart strings to that bring you beauty and bring you peace and bring you joy, but there's a lot of stuff out there that you don't need to. Harley used to call it, they used to call them vacuum cleaner hoses, and they plug into you and they just drain your energy, well, you lose that energy, then you got nothing left to be able to deal with your soul
Yeah.
because you're in
We
a weak
we never
state.
called them vacuum cleaner hoses, but they were strings that attached us to other people and they did suck energy. Vacuum cleaner hoses is an excellent way to look at those things. I know that in my tradition, uh, hmm, Oscar would often talk about the transition from Homo sapien to Homo angelicus, and
Right.
he will, and to this day, will constantly, constantly talk to people about raising their vibration, concentrate on um, moving up from the lower vibrations and into the higher vibrations. And this is how you can communicate better with your guides and your uh, spiritual teachers, if you will, and even the star brethren who uh, are interacting with this planet in a different way. They operate at different energetic levels than humans do. And we're trying to rise above this old morass of energetic strings and it's like an energetic molasses pool. And the more we try to uh, just shed ourselves of our old, I keep wanting to say bad habits, but I just don't like that term very much. But it's just our old ways and our old awarenesses that keep us down, and I think that we're going to start to rise up away from our older selves. I do think that it's truly unfortunate that some spiritual traditions, particularly the ones we call religions, like to, in order to control their population, like to insist that you only get one shot at this. And so they're telling you that you're going to end, but at the same time, they're telling you that your soul is eternal and it's gonna uh, go through an eternity of torment if you don't do what we tell you. And I see my soul as something that happened a long time ago. A long time ago, and perhaps even with what they would call that part of the Big Bang, but maybe even, if there's been bang, 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 throughout history, or if it's, the breath of God that we're experiencing with this universal expansion and contraction, I think that we've been a part of all of that on that energetic level, that our soul is a thing that is that ties us through all of the levels of eternity. And that's why we need to continue to work on it so that it can always move into a larger sphere of experience. I almost said influence, but it's really not about influencing. It's about experiencing. We're here as the eyes and ears of the creator, really, who is learning to discover his or herself, right? And so the soul care is that part of us that understands that we really need to work out the details that keep us from getting bigger and better and more joyful and more loving and having a grander experience of this thing that we call the universe, which is just getting bigger and better and better and better all the time. But from where I'm
when
sitting.
I write about the soul, I define it as Hardy used to give a great example. Says if you can imagine a whirling mass of energy as the creator, and then it was just kick a spark out, and it kick another
Yeah,
spark out, and that's the souls that he's birthing,
yeah,
and
we're that ray.
these little yeah, and so these little sparks flying out, and and so when you're given the gift of life, which is the birthing of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
you agree to a payback. Okay, there's a trade of energy there. There's always got to be a trade of energy in everything. That's
Because
where we're
everything
some
has
that's
to balance.
everything has to balance. So the trade of energy for uh, the birth of the soul is there's four states of dreaming. There's your
Mm-hmm.
personal dream, there's your sacred dream, there's your planetary dream, and there's a universal dream.
Mm-hmm.
And so your personal dream is kind of what you're doing when you're dealing with this physical being and shelter
Mm-hmm.
and food and yada yada
Yeah.
yada. Your, your sacred dream is, what your soul came here to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mission and this when you sat down with all your spirit personalities and they went, okay, Oakwalker, here's what you're going to go do. Now, don't
We've
forget,
talked
well, of
about
course,
this.
but your first task is to remember. you know, and once you remember, you'll be authentic, and then you'll be off and
Yes,
running.
that'll be great.
But so then your planetary is the collection of the sacred dreams into what they're doing in the evolution of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a payback to the planet for hosting you. It's like you're a
Mm-hmm.
guest here, and so there's a trade of energy to the
Mm-hmm.
planet. For to Mother Earth for you being here and the gifts of food and shelter and et cetera, et cetera. And then the universal is really the assistance to the creator to be able to see itself in an all-knowing state of being.
Uh-huh.
And so
That's great.
that payback's got to be knowing. I mean, it's got to be
Uh-huh.
achieving a level of knowing. Well, once you achieve a level of knowing to the extent that you can consciously make that payback, now you're in the state of co-creation.
Yeah.
Now you co-create with one another, spirit to spirit. essence to essence. You merge and you dream together.
Yeah.
And in that dream, you have realizations and you
Hmm.
get guidance, and it goes on and expands. Your knowing increases. And so you and the creator are both expanding throughout the universe, and you're bringing the gifts from your learning and your awareness and your birthing and your spiritual maturity on the planet here into the process of the creator knowing itself. And so
Hmm.
you become part of this co-creational process. So
Yep.
I mean that's my kind of short thumbnail sketch of a soul.
Yep. And so I want to get into that a little bit because it's not just the knowing, as there's also an emotional component. There's a gratitude component. There's a praise component. There's the realization and the knowledge that when you're in that zone, it feels great. It is the most beautiful and free and expansive, free feeling that I have ever known. I don't know of anything that's actually better than being in that zone of actual co-creation, as you just called it, because it feels like there's nothing that's impossible. It feels like
Right.
you and the creator are just right there, and there's no resistance, there's no pain, there's no fear. And for that, those moments in my life, sometimes they come to me in dream times too. All of these moments that I never forget, I am deeply, deeply grateful for. And I think that's part of the giving back as well, because one of the things that's creating such stress on this planet is the lack of appreciation for it.
Right. Yeah. The I came up with a term that kind of fits that. I call it the yearning. You
Oh,
know,
I like that.
every soul yearns to reconnect into that
Hmm.
moment, that perfection. They all do.
Hmm.
They want to return to that space. And you listen to anybody who's had a near death experience, and they all say the same thing. Man, the love
Yeah.
is amazing. And so they yearn for that. They yearn to return to that and to be a part of that. The trick is we got to bring it down here instead of us going up there.
Right.
It doesn't. We can't leave it just a chance through death. I mean, that's the task, is to bring the yearning into manifestation here on the planet.
Hmm.
And you can't have that without authentic self and without balance. I mean, and that's, I think, what the sacred laws are all about.
Right.
And so so we're moving out of this false narrative, if
Hmm.
you want to call, let's face it,
Yeah.
into yearning, and that yearning is bringing that moment that you're talking about, that sense of perfection, what can also be called the I am,
Yeah.
in, into being here on the planet, so
Hmm.
everybody can participate.
Yep.
So everybody can participate. And when you picture that with the animals and the plants and the mineral children, and I mean all of that together, coming together in a concerto of of harmonious
Symphonic.
symphony.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling, man. And I think that can happen. Totally, I believe it's going to happen. Absolutely. I don't think it'll happen in our lifetime, but I think it's going to happen.
You mean is that where everybody is basically in that general sense? I think that's what Oscar's talking about. Homo angelicus is going to be like,
Yeah.
where everybody is there. That sense of knowing is just innate to everyone who's already here. And it's so interesting that this is not teachable. Truly, you just can't.
No,
Well,
you
that
have to
was strange.
experience.
Yeah, you have to experience it. And then, naturally what I want to do, because I'm here in this ego, and I want to, I want to help. I want to be that guy. So here I am suddenly trying to make my identity as one of these knowing people. And it just doesn't work that way. The only thing that I can do is just sit around and know, right? It's
Yeah,
just
oh,
like
yeah. No, that's
be
a
be
simplistic way of saying it, but yeah.
yeah, be quiet and be there, be real, be whole, and be in you. Just be. And that literally is it's better than me sitting and trying to teach people how to do this. I can teach meditation, I can teach all of this different stuff. I can teach ritual. I can teach, medicine journeys. I can do any of this stuff. But really, the only effective thing that I can do is to sit back and just be.
Well, I think that all the work that you did to prepare yourself to be able to do that was leading to the very state of being that you're talking about.
Uh-huh. That
It's
was
like,
the idea.
I mean, yeah, it's, you and I both know our elders are like, hey, you're not doing anything. That's great. We're like, what are they talking about?
Right?
And just,
Give me
and it's like,
something to
just be
do.
yourself, man. Just be yourself. We're like, oh man, I keep seeing that cartoon about the vultures sitting in a tree going, if something doesn't die pretty soon, I'm going to kill it. You know, and so, you're right. I mean, but I was having a conversation with my wife the other day, and she said, and we were talking about this, and she says, yeah, I think everybody's going to evolve up. And I said, no, I don't think they are. I think it's going to come down on top of us.
Hmm.
I said, I think that the environment is going to suddenly, like an envelope, is going to descend down upon us, and we're all going to feel like what's going on, man? Like there's a completely different place. And you felt that and I felt that when we were in ceremony, when we went into
Yes.
fifth dimension, but we did it with intention, it took
Yes.
us there. But so, but with Mother Earth evolving, I think that there'll come a tipping point where she will go into her ceremony and fifth dimension will begin to come in over the planet and people will be like, man, what's going on?
That's an interesting take on that I
And
haven't
I think you
actually
and I
heard.
are at that point where we're the one part of the 100th monkey.
Okay.
I mean,
That,
we're
but you still have to have those 100 monkeys, right? I mean,
yeah.
we need to do something to raise our awareness and to raise our consciousness such that if that thing, like you're talking like a great blanket that comes down upon the planet, giving everybody this new environment, if you're incompatible with that, I think that you're just going to get pushed aside. And we need to be an example of that awareness and that peaceful internal existence so that we're not so stuck in our identities that we're no longer compatible with the new ways, the new environment. That's a danger.
Well, that's Miranda Williamson, if that's her name, was talking about the other day, and she said we've reached that point where we've got to move out of the way
Yeah,
and,
Marianne
and allow
Williamson.
the creator to come in. Yeah, we should have done this a long time ago, but nevertheless, now's the time to do it. Is we've
Right?
got to step out of our way, get out of ourselves, get over ourselves,
Get out of
let
our own
it
way.
just happen. If you
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we're like, I mean, there's a lot of different things that people can do, but um, becoming detached
Hmm.
from all of the different crazy things that keep us burdensome.
Hmm.
I think the forces that don't want that envelope to come down over are trying to create a lot of chaos in the world so that people become so distracted. I mean, look what goes on with our government right now. Some pops up and they distract. Oh, they distract over here. It's like a bean game. See if you can find the bean under the cup. You know, and they're just using distraction because they got nothing. They
Yeah.
got nothing,
Hmm.
and so if and it's real easy to get caught up in that, but that is the biggest mistake to do. You can't get
Right.
caught up in all because all of
Exactly.
that is playing itself out. It's
It,
wearing itself out, and it's gonna go away,
yeah,
and then the big show is gonna start.
right. Because all of this non-organic intelligence it's unsustainable. It's all just a belief construct. The fact that we have
Right,
to get our money from banks, the fact that there's this structure called an economy, a structure called um, to all of these things, a structure called a country, a nation state, that and people are going around going, well, that's the way God made it, but that's not true, right? That's just, I'm going to say the word, that's just a narrative. And that's what we're waking up from, is that
right.
it's that belief structure that we have identified with so much and so hard that we're not doing any soul care at all. We're not doing any growing. We're not
Right.
getting down to the business of being on the planet. And that's not just a tragedy, it's a real problem.
Huge problem. But
Mhm.
but the other side of that is, I used to post these things for fun all the time. I'd say, we've been out of the caves long enough now. You could put your guns down, drop the clubs.
Yep.
You don't have to pretend to be a caveman anymore. Um, but
I
it's some
agree.
truth to that. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just if you look at it from the standpoint of a timeline. I mean, man, it's minuscule the time we've been on this planet. I mean,
Right.
minuscule.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think we're moving at the speed of light, be honest with you. I mean, I think it's phenomenal how far we've come in this short period of time. And, religion, as bad rap as we give it, it at least took some of that barbaric nature out of man away,
I
and
agree.
it,
It's
it,
better than gangs and murder and,
yeah, yeah.
just
And the
total
whole planet
criminal
would be like
chaos.
Haiti.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would just be insane. And so, there's the only thing the only thing we're having to deal with now, the people are trying to hold on to their identity value and prove to everybody how great they are when everybody knows they're not.
Hmm.
I mean, it's easy to see through that, and so everybody's thinking, well, how these guys still keep pulling this off? Well, it's because we're still haven't reached that point of growth to where we can disperse with that, but we're getting real close, I
Hmm.
think. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, real close, and so more and more people are, they're talking about stuff that man, 20, 30 years ago, you'd have never heard this coming out of anybody's mouth. I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty phenomenal when you think about it. The number of people that are starting to question things and starting to see things differently, and for some of them it's an easy transition. For others it's not, but it's still
Yeah.
happening.
Well, it wasn't easy for me either in the beginning. It's easier now.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we should all
So
get started. That is 32 minutes, which is our time up. I just had a wonderful idea. Let's say goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to us, for paying attention to us. We are Earth Medicine for the Soul. My name is Oakwalker. My best friend is Stronghorse. And let's see how this sounds as an outgoing tone. Thank you.